Good, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're back with Game of Thrones, and we got the history and lore season 3. Now hold on, there's a couple things I just want to say. One, hold on, is it gonna be in this season or next season? I think it's in this. Listen, before you know we get into this, I'm about to do the history and lore for season 3 and 4 back to back. Why? Because I was just like, okay, like I was fiending, bro. I ain't gonna lie, I was fiending. I spammed season 3 and 4, so I already got those recorded. So I was just gonna do the first couple up episodes and then do the history and lore of season 3, and then I just instantly spammed all 3 of them. But so yeah, so when we get into the storyline with Theon, and I'm talking about like, I don't really, care for this storyline. I didn't realize it, but it might be some subliminal thing when it comes to the actor, cause you was the actor in John Wick that I just saw that shit like 2 nights ago. I was like, I didn't even realize. That's tough. What else? Also, I think in season 4, I'm talking about when it comes to Ramsay Snow. I say a little, like, just in case I don't put this in editing, I say something pertaining to like, oh, does this have to correlate with John or whatever? Because that's the only time I hear the surname Snow. That's the only time I ever heard that. And this is just my guess. This is not something that I just know. This is just my guess. That Snow is like just a default go-to last name for a bastard in the North, or maybe just Westeros in general. I'm leaning more towards North. Someone who's not suitable to hold the family name type shit. But there's like one more thing. Oh, and then I just edited the video maybe a week ago, and I looked it up. But like, people were giving me different names. But Jaime says to Brienne, he says, there's only 3 men in Westeros who have a chance of beating me. You're not one of them. Who are those 3? Like, is this a thing of you got to put it together, or it's clearly stated in the books, or it's just like, okay, you kind of, you either put it together yourself, it was said in the books, or it was hinted at, whether it's books or show or whatever. The reason I'm asking, because I was about to look it up, because I'm like, listen, I'm already 2 seasons ahead of that, so I either missed it, or if you it's too late to say it now. The two names that was always brought up was the Clegane brothers, the Hound and the Mountain, and then people were throwing names in like Sir Barristan. Someone said Bronn. There's like 2 or 3 names that was like from the books that were like not not in the show. What's the other one? Someone said Prince Oberyn. Those all the ones that I can remember. But yeah, y'all let me know about that. But I'm ready to jump into this. But before we do, make sure you thumbs up and subscribe, and let's get it. We doing yogurt this time, y'all.
For 300 years, the Targaryen dynasty ruled.
Not gonna lie, it's kind of loud. Hold on.
Westeros.
Alright,
Wars were still fought, homes still burned,
Damn it.
and men still died.
Dude,
But
can you...
compared
Alright.
to the chaos of what came before, the realm was stable.
And boring. The Targaryens lied, thieved, and killed as much as other lords. They just had dragons to answer all complaints. Until they didn't. When the last dragon died, it was only a matter of time before the Targaryens followed.
By only, you mean...
Hold
a
on.
century?
That shit was kind of clean how y'all
Tried
just
to replace
transitioned
their
like that.
lost advantage. Incinerating their own palaces to hatch dragon eggs.
I don't know who listened to J.
drinking
Cole, but that was
wildfire
kind of like
from
when
dragons,
Lil Baby
and let's
hopped
not
on
forget
My
the
Life.
Mad King's favorite, burning men alive.
No, not My Life.
so he could
Pride is the
pretend
Devil.
to be a dragon.
We urged Aerys to pardon Brandon Stark. The boy had threatened Prince Rhaegar, but Rhaegar had stolen the boy's sister. And the boy was the eldest son of our Warden of the North.
Who's the greater fool, a mad king or the man who reasons with him? Aerys saw knives in every shadow. When you told him to treat the Starks with caution, you made him afraid. And what he feared, he killed.
I wouldn't have thought you, of all people, would bother with recriminations for Brandon's death, Lord Baelish. Not after your, shall we call it, duel with him?
Brandon was as arrogant as he was stupid. Like his father, Lord Stark, who answered Aerys' summon to the capital. They earned their fates. But the younger son, Ned, what was his crime? That Aerys ordered his death as well.
Unlike men, families don't die when you lop off their head.
At the very least, you should have pointed out that loyal and dutiful Ned was living with Jon Arryn, a proud and over-righteous lord with an impregnable castle and no sons of his own. Perhaps you could have spared Aerys the embarrassment of revolt.
If only we'd had the foresight to consult you, Lord Baelish, but I suppose first we'd have had to know who you were.
Nobody knew Robert Baratheon either.
Ooh.
Yet he claimed the right to sit on the Iron Throne.
He had Targaryen blood, through his mother.
A pretty dress for an ugly truth. It was war, and he could swing a hammer harder than the other options. When did you know you'd lost, Lord Varys?
When Robert Baratheon killed Prince Rhaegar on the Trident.
Wrong. You lost the war when you let Ned Stark slip back into the north. Neither the bloody Gate of the Vale or Moat Cailin in the north have ever fallen. They could have held out for years, even if you'd killed Robert. But you let him slip through your fingers as well.
I told the court that Robert was hiding in the Stony Sept, but the hand of the king wasted too much time searching the city. Something about the glory of single combat. Then Ned Stark's army arrived to save the day.
Too bad Lord Tywin wasn't a hand any longer. He would have simply razed the town and been done with it.
Perhaps. And perhaps the rebels would have found even more of the countryside flocking to their banners.
I'd almost forgotten. You weren't always so loyal to the Lannisters during the war, were you?
I did my duty to the realm. When Lord Tywin showed up at King's Landing professing loyalty, I warned Aerys not to open the gates. Prince Rhaegar was dead, our army scattered. The lion does not stir unless he smells meat.
I admire your powers of persuasion, Lord Varys. Few could traffic in so many secrets to so little avail.
Grand Maester Pycelle told Aerys what he wanted to hear, that his old friend Tywin was there to save him.
Then Aerys' old friend sacked the city, and his son stabbed Aerys in the back.
A regrettable, though necessary action.
As were the pardons the new King Robert bestowed on the Royalists. Mace Tyrell, Barristan Selmy, you.
King Robert wisely chose order over vengeance.
Jon Arryn wisely chose for Robert, but Jon Arryn died. Then Robert, then Ned. So ended their glorious revolution.
Alright, this is like that's like the first time that I recall. Alright, let me give an example. I don't discuss it no more. Don't say anything in the comments, because I know exactly how I'm going to edit this video. So this is the only time I'm ever gonna say it. I'm not gonna say exactly what it is, because if I say it, I'm gonna remember that I visually said it. Someone did a, what was it? Someone did a, just look up Game of Thrones impressions. Oh, someone did an impression of why am I blanking on his name? On Steve Harvey. I was like, it would be cool to check out a Game of Thrones impressions. I don't know if it's going to be for you, but type the very first, like type in Game of Thrones impressions and just look at, it's probably at least top 3 of the videos, and look at the thumbnails. You're going to see what it is. Don't discuss it no more. Anyways, like, why did you have to have that, dude? But anyways, having that correlate with this, that's something where it's just like, okay, yeah, I can see that's a big spoiler. When I start the show, like, Robert's still alive. What did you say? What was the second one?
Goes for Robert, but Jon Arryn died.
Oh, Jon Arryn, he died before the show start. So if y'all just said that, like, that would be that's Jon Arryn was like the catalyst, basically. And then Robert eventually dies, and then Ned dies. Like, that would have been that's the first time that it was like really like a spoiler in my point of view. But something like with that situation, like if it's not like a death, or like Jaime's hand, or something like super crazy, someone gets pregnant, death, babies, marriage, and a home, like a home getting destroyed or a home getting built type shit. If it's not something like that, if I don't talk about it, I'll probably forget about it. That's why I said don't bring it up anymore. If I don't talk about it, by the time that it happens, I'll be like, oh yeah, I remember that happening, or I remember that being showed in your fucking thumbnail. Like, dude. And I'll subscribe to you too, dude. I was like, oh, I could finally check out this video. I never knew what you were talking about when you posted that video. I just watched your other impressions, but that's tough.
Died. Then Robert. Then Ned. So ended their glorious revolution.
And Westeros has been...
So if y'all spoiled anything in season 2 or 1, history and lore, I don't remember.
burning ever since.
That's the first time that it was...
How Targaryen of you. One of the mad ones.
Fire turns even the proudest oaks to ash, leaving newer roots space to climb.
They got people talking to each other now in this bit.
Mudmen. Bog devils. Those are just the most pleasant names our fellow northerners have for us. The Crannogmen who live in the swamps of the Neck. Because we do not live in castles like them. Because we do not farm like them. Because we are not tall or rich like them. But through our veins flows the same blood of the first men. And, at times, maybe something more. We still live much as they did, on floating islands in houses of thatch and woven reeds. We fish, hunt, and tell our children of our heroes. The knight of the laughing tree who fought in the year of the false spring. The last marsh king who challenged the Starks and lost his crown and his daughter. And other stories, older still, since lost to the world. The Neck was not always a swamp. In the Dawn Age, it was as dry and fertile as the rest of the north. But during the war with the First Men, the children of the forest brought down the hammer of waters on the Neck, trying to break Westeros in two. When the waters finally receded, they left the bogs and swamps we know today. Many of the First Men decided to fight on, but my ancestors wisely chose to heed the children's power and advance no farther. They beat their swords into frog spears and fishhooks, and settled a land forever devastated by the folly of war. Unlike the rest of Westeros, we keep no garrisons and raise no soldiers for petty spats with our neighbors. Our land protects its own. An outsider will find in the neck an endless morass of suckholes, quicksands, and green grass that looks solid to the unwary eye, but turns to water the instant you tread on it. If you're lucky enough to be armored, you'll only drown inside your own steel. If you're not, you get to meet what swims in that water. Serpents and monstrous lizard lions with teeth like daggers and never enough to eat.
Golly.
Don't worry. Only your horse will live long enough to feel their poisons burning through it. If you somehow survive all this, you may find that a well-placed dart can be as deadly as any blade. Not that you'll see us blowing it your way. Since the fall of the last Marsh King, House Reed has ruled the Neck beneath the banner of a black lizard lion on a grey-green field. We are not wealthy, powerful, or known even to our own countrymen. Our home, Greywater Watch, is no castle you've ever seen. And seeing it once does not mean you'll ever find it again. For Greywater Watch moves. Many would-be conquerors have died trying to find us. With war all around and our Stark Lord besieged on all sides, many more will doubtless soon try. They will look at us on a map and see a stranglehold for the north. And they will forget that the sea itself once entered the Neck, and not all of it returned.
I ain't gonna lie, Sir Jorah.
Valyria was not the first to conquer the world. In the dawn of days, the city
What is
of
that,
Geese
season 4
opened
or
its
something?
gates and poured forth its legions across the continent of Essos.
It wasn't until that moment that I realized that I messed with you so much. You was one of my dynamic
They
duels,
ground
man.
entire nations beneath their boots and planted the harpy in every corner of the known world. What they didn't destroy, they chained. Slavery is as old as man, but until the Giscari, it was never an art. The slave lords grew rich and fat as pyramids were raised around them, pleasure houses were filled, and fighting pits were open. Nobody remembers if the waters around Geese had names before the Empire, but ever since, we know them only as Slaver's Bay and the Gulf of Grief. Of Geese, however, nothing remains but ruins, where end all great civilizations. 5,000 years ago, Valyrian shepherds stumbled on strange eggs. And within a few generations, an upstart Valyrian freehold rose across the sea. 5 times did the Giscari contend with Valyria, and 5 times did they go down in defeat. For the freehold had dragons, and the Empire had none. The best of their legions burned, the others broke. The brick walls of Geese were pulled down, the streets and buildings turned to ash, and the very fields sown with salt, sulfur, and skulls. Yet the Empire was not wholly destroyed. Astapor, Yunkai, and Meereen, once lowly colonies along Slaver's Bay, survived, and even thrived. Valyria had watched the Giscari grow rich and powerful off the backs of conquered peoples, and now the self-styled freehold wanted its turn. While the Dragon Lords brought the world to heel, the slave markets of their former enemy never lacked for flesh. Lamenting the lost empire, the descendants of old Geese grew rich and fat. The doom fell on Valyria, and the Dothraki rose to pillage most of the continent at will. But gold-laden Astapor,
That shit just
Yunkai,
busted everywhere, dude.
continue as they have for thousands of years, untouched. For even the Horse Lords understand what the Giscari taught Valyria so long ago. What good are slaves without slavers?
Yo, listen, I have to. I'm a call on y'all in the Harry Potter joints, but my other go-to, you know what I'm saying, Star Wars. Is Game of Thrones gonna be on some Star Wars shit where it's just like, so if you know, if anyone's not like knowledgeable when it comes to Star Wars. So you had your Republic era, and then you had your Empire era, and your New Republic era, and then you had your First Order era, right? Every single one of those eras had a different, well, you kind of had one person in charge, low key, throughout like two of them type shit, but let's just say people in charge, different chains of commands. And one of the main worlds in Star Wars, Tatooine, it's just one example. Where it's just like, no matter how the power is. Alright, alright, Coruscant, you know what I'm saying, that's usually the capital when it comes to who's ever in charge. Don't usually touch the slave planets. Is Game of Thrones gonna be on that tilt where like when Daenerys come through and however conflicts is gonna be, is all that shit just going like after she gets to the Iron Throne or whatever ensues when she pulls up, is it ever gonna be a thing of, oh hey, let's either free the slaves or B conquer type shit? Or is it just gonna be like, yeah, we're just gonna leave them alone? Because it'll be interesting to see like people in Westeros interacting in these slave communities